What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of The Real Build. I'm your host, Bill Reiman, your broker builder. And guys, this is episode 50. Wow, it's crazy to think about. A little over a year ago, I think I started this probably end of April or mid-April of last year, the actual podcast. And it's crazy to think about how time's flown by, and all the guests that I've had on, and all the stuff I know you guys have probably learned, and I've personally learned, and the connections that I've made through this show. So, first off, I really just want to start out by thanking you guys. Obviously I wouldn't be doing this without you, the listener, and the support you guys are giving me, and you're sharing it, and you're reaching out to me. And I want to actually, if you haven't reached out to me and you have questions about anything, I want to extend that to you as well. Feel free to reach out to me if you have questions about anything I have on the show, or want me to talk about anything on this show too for the next 50 episodes. I'd love to hear from you guys more, and I'm actually thinking about creating kind of an online community. You guys can follow me at Bill Reiman, your broker builder, on Facebook, and I got a little community there already. But guys, 50 episodes. I mean, this is crazy. I've been consistent. I think there's only been a couple of weeks where I couldn't do it, for some reasons and so on. But I'm always consistent with this, and you guys continue to listen. The show continues to grow, so thank you. I really just wanted to start out there, guys, and just really thank you guys for everything you're doing. So, if you haven't done it yet, obviously I don't ask for anything with this show. It's free. I don't advertise. I'm not going to advertise. I do this more to just, I want to help people. That's why I started this movement with The Real Build. And I just want to help the customer, and as you guys know, and bring quality people business together. So all I ask is, if you guys can, write a comment, if you're on iTunes or, Apple Podcasts, just, rate the show 5 stars, and then write a comment or a review. I really appreciate it. It keeps us growing. I think we got like 26 or 27 reviews on there right now. So guys, I'd really appreciate if you guys just take a little bit of time. It'll take probably 5 minutes of your time just to do that, if not less. So with that being said, this episode, I was actually thinking about reflecting on the past 50 episodes, but then I decided, I kind of want to go more into myself personally, and when I first recorded my intro to who I am, obviously back then, and I still cringe and I tell people this, I kind of cringe when I listen to my first 5 episodes, because, obviously I've come a long way as a interviewer and as a podcaster. This obviously, practice makes perfect in anything you do, and also consistency. I've learned that, and I've been consistent with this, and I've gotten better. But I feel like there was more to my story that people needed to know. And, I just wanted to talk more about how I got into the construction business and how I got into real estate. And you guys hear little clips and stuff like that throughout certain episodes of my experience in construction and my background in real estate. But I really wanted to dive deeper into it, and why I'm doing what I'm doing, and how I've had success in both construction and real estate, and especially in the sales end of things. And, I've always sold stuff. I mean, since I was a little kid, I mean, I've been involved in, I always say, kind of a born to be salesperson. And as you guys know too, if you're in sales, I mean, sales, the sky's the limit. You can have as much success as you want to in sales. So I always was passionate. I was good. I always was motivated and everything to sell things. And I think that's what's led to my success so far as real estate. I'm just getting started too, guys. But anyway, I feel like, I wanted to touch on the subject because I've had a lot of people, as I grew up, kind of say I'm lucky, or you're lucky, and I came from my background. Obviously I grew up in construction. My dad's been in the construction industry for my whole entire life. He came from nothing. He built a company from scratch, never got a dime from anybody, started from the bottom, worked his way up. He came from a poor upbringing, and it was literally a lot of hard work and dedication. In Illinois, when that's where we're originally from, the St. Charles area is where I was born. But he started, by working with a concrete company, and then he ended up, over time, he started his own concrete company. And I'm just going to be brief on his story, because this is going to lead into what I'm talking about. But all these years, he basically started from nothing, worked his butt off, and climbed up more and more, climbed up the ladder, started a concrete company. It became one of the most successful concrete companies in the area, all DuPage County. You guys have heard me talk about this before a little bit. And then he started a construction company building custom homes. That expanded, and then we moved to Florida, I think around 1995. He started a building company there, and that kept going up from the ground up as well. Well, since I was little, I always had to work. Always had to work. And what people, and I wanted to touch on this too, because I've been told my whole entire life, and you're going to hear me get passionate about this, because it's one thing I cannot stand, is when people tell me that I'm lucky. You're lucky, or I've heard, must be nice, and I heard that growing up my whole entire life. And I started thinking, and Andy, one of my mentors, Andy Frisilla, you guys have heard me talk about that. I heard on one of his podcasts, he was like, why are we defending our success? And that really stuck to me, because I've done it my whole entire life. So even, whether it was elementary, middle, high school, college, even after that, working, I always defended who I was. And I started really thinking about this. I've posted about it too, but what people don't understand is that, and a lot of people that know me, they know I work, and I've always had to work. They've always seen that. They've always, but I still got it from certain people too. It must be nice to have a dad that, or that, has money or whatever. Well, my dad worked his ass off to get to where he is. And excuse me if I cuss, or if if you're listening to this, I'm probably, because like I said, this is a passionate subject. So I'm just going to forewarn you here. But I want to tell you about this. So, when you hear those things, what I wanted to touch on is, yeah, maybe I am lucky. Maybe I'm lucky to be born to parents that taught me how to get ahead, and I started thinking about this, because I'm going to go back as far as, since I was a little kid. I remember when my dad had his concrete company, and I would be, playing in the tires in his shop, and the tractor, or the bobcat tires, or he had a case back then, for those of you that know brand names on tractors. But anyway, he used to even make me sweep stuff back then. And this is me as a little kid. So when he would watch me, I'd be in his shop with a broom sweeping stuff all the way up until, I want to say, let's see, probably, my like I started out as a little kid, I was sweeping things, and then as I got older, he would make me do different odds and ends around houses and so on. And then I remember in middle school, elementary school, I was fixing stuff, digging ditches, moving blocks, doing all this stuff that a lot of people, it was hard work, especially when we moved to Florida in the hot sun. It was really hard work. And like I said, there was digging ditches. I remember too, and I've told this story too, where I actually had, he goes, see that pile of blocks over there? And these were cement blocks, guys, big cement blocks in a big pile, may I add too. He goes, I want that pile moved over there out of the way. And I was like, all right, as a kid, this is going to be hard. They're heavy. He's like, you want to get stronger, you got to do that and lift it and move it. I'll be back. And then he'd leave the job site. I'd be alone at the job site. I'd be moving those blocks from one side of the job site to the other. Guys, this isn't necessary. Builders know this too. Those blocks were put there by the concrete guys, and they were going to block up the house, obviously, after the slab was poured. They were fine where they were. They didn't need to be moved, but my dad just did it for give me something to do, but also force me to work. Think about that. And now that I'm older and me and my brother are running things, I see the pile of block, and I'm like, he really made me do that, and it didn't even have to be moved. And like, I did every little thing you can imagine working for him. I worked every weekend. I expected to work. That's another thing. I always planned on having to work while my friends were having fun, going to the beach, especially like I said, when we moved to Florida. I was in, elementary school and friends were going to each other's houses and so on. As I got into middle school, friends were hanging out on the weekends. I would always have to work. Even in high school, friends would be like, "Hey, we're going to the beach. It's Saturday." Guess who was working? Me. So when people, and that's what this whole thing's about, when people say to me that you're lucky, and I've gotten it my whole entire life, they don't understand the hard work that I've had to put in each and every day to get to where I'm at. And I'm gonna explain this to you guys too. So here's another thing. On weekends, I remember this growing up, whether it was elementary school, middle school, when I had to work for him, he would come in bright and early. My dad was in the military. He's an ex-Marine. He was in Vietnam. He served 2 tours in Nam. He would come in the morning, and I don't know if you guys have ever heard the Reveille. I'm going to play this real quick for you right now. So, yeah, that song. So my dad would come in every morning whistling that song Saturday mornings. Even when I was in high school, he'd be whistling that song. Open all the blinds in the room, all the light would shine in. This is early in the morning. I'm tired. I'm beat from a long week at school. I played football at that time too. And he'd say, "Time to," he'd be yelling, "Time to get up, little Marine, time to get up." And he'd start yelling, and he would keep coming in and then turning the lights, making noise and stuff like that. Can you imagine that? So, anyway, I remember those times, and it was crazy to me that, and I remember there's times too where I told him I didn't want to work, and I didn't want to do it. I'd rather get a job somewhere else. He would get so mad at me. He wouldn't talk to me for, it'd be like a day. I'd have to go apologize to him or whatever. He would get so mad because that's the way my old man was. You had to work to get what you want. He said to me all the time, and his quote was, "I never got handed anything. I'm not going to hand you anything. You need to work for what you want." So, I mean, yeah, we grew up, and as my dad progressed in business and things got better, you know, we didn't live. We lived when I was younger. Obviously, we were a little on the lower end side, but as things progressed, my dad got better at business. Obviously, business grew and so on. We weren't living poor at all, but my dad still, that's the thing, with people would see the house that he bought or something, or the car that he had or something like that. And then it would reflect on me because I was his son. They would say, "Hey man, that must be nice. Must be nice to have parents that are rich, or must be nice." But that's what I'm getting at. It's even in middle school and high school, I would have football practice. I remember this early Saturday mornings. We'd wake up, we'd have to lift, we'd have to run, then we'd have a full-on practice. And then after practice, my teammates would go home, and then they'd go about their weekend, and they'd have fun, hang out, go to the mall, whatever. Back then, yeah, people, I guess, used to go to the mall a little bit more. But anyway, they used to hang out, and I would be there, would be like, "Bill, what are you doing?" I'd be like, "I gotta go to work." They'd be like, "Really?" And I'd be like, yeah, I got to go work for my dad. So even after a long football practice, my dad would make me work. I'd go out in the hot sun. I'd start digging ditches. I'd move the blocks. I'd have to paint, do whatever he wanted me to do. I had to do all these things, and a lot of people on my football team at the time, just they were like, "Man, that's crazy. You're always working. You're always having to do something." And I'm like, "That's the way my dad is. That's the way he's taught me. That's the way my parents have taught me." Even growing up as a kid too, my mom made me start doing my laundry at a young age. She said, "I'm not doing your laundry anymore." So there's things my parents instilled in me that I thank God every single day. And I'm going to get to that point here a little bit. So I even want to talk to you guys about this. So let's keep going with my story with this whole thing. Hope you guys are enjoying this a little bit, because I wanted to tell you, this is all leading to the point of how I got to where I am today. And so I played Division I football in college, and this is after high school. I always worked, like I said, I worked at the Marriott for a little bit in high school. I still worked for my dad here and there and so on. But then when I went to college, I went to play football. Originally, I went to Connecticut, Sacred Heart University. It was a D1 AA in Connecticut. Played only lasted a year there because it was, long story short, a little too cold for me to play there. I ended up transferring to Florida International University, which was another Division I football program over in the Miami area. But even in college, playing college football, and guys, let me add, college football is not easy. We woke up every single morning bright and early and went to the weight room, and then we had practice, then we had class, then we had all these different things that going on too. Football wise, I would still come home when he needed me to work. He'd say, hey, you don't have a game this weekend, come home and get some work done. You need to make some money, so then after college football was over, I got injured. I came home. At one point, that was a whole nother story about me selling cars and so on. But after that, I went to the University of South Florida just to finish my degree. And I think I was 21, 22 at the time, had a couple of years left of college after coming home and once again working for my dad once again. But anyway, I went to college. I went to USF. I remember I would still come home not every single weekend, but here and there when he needed me. I actually was in a fraternity too. And I remember there'd be parties, stuff like that. My dad would say, I don't care if there's a party, I need you to come home and work. And all the people that were in my fraternity, they're like, are you seriously going home? And my roommate will testify to this too, that I used to leave on big parties and stuff like that and have to go home and work outside on job sites for my dad. He also at one time too, and I've said this story before too, is I remember I wrecked my truck, and I told you guys this in my intro about myself. If you listen to it, is I wrecked my truck. I was drinking and driving, should have not have been doing it. And it was definitely a lesson learned. It was a wake up from God. I shouldn't be here today. It was a bad car wreck. Nobody else was involved but myself, and I had my friend in the passenger seat, and I actually went over a guardrail. The guardrail actually saved my life. How that happened, I have no idea. We were going 55 miles an hour, and I was looking down, not paying attention, lost control of my truck, driving down a street that had only one little guardrail, basically blocking us from ending up in the water and a bunch of trees and mangroves. So if we would have went outside of that guardrail, we wouldn't be here today. But anyway, that's a whole nother story, and one of my life lessons that I definitely learned. And so I lost my truck in that accident. Long story short, my dad didn't take he didn't take that lightly. Let's put it that way. The way he was. I didn't have a vehicle. I was on my final year of college. I didn't have a vehicle there. I had to walk to class. I had a girlfriend at the time that would let me borrow her car when she could, and my roommate would too. But there was one time my dad said I needed to come home and work. And I said, well, how am I going to get home and work? And he said, you got a dumb, right? Meaning hitchhike. Or he said, there's a Greyhound bus station. This was Tampa. That's about 3.5 hours away from me, or away from him at the time. And he said, hop on a Greyhound bus. I need you to work this weekend. So I ended up taking a bus home from Tampa down here to Marco Island, Naples area. And he picked me up at a Taco Bell, and he said, how's it feel not having a car? And you got to keep working to get one again, and so on. So, what I'm getting at with all this stuff, guys, is, it's something I've always been pushed by my family. I've always been pushed by my dad to get to where I am today, to have success. Nothing was easy by him. Nothing was ever given to me by him. I mean, yes, we had Christmases and so on. My dad wasn't this nasty old man that just didn't do anything for me. He was always there for me, still is today. I love him to death, but he taught me a lot of lessons in life that you have to work for what you get. And I remember too when I moved back, I obviously didn't have any money. This was after I graduated college, didn't have a car. I started working full time for him. He would make me ride my bike with a backpack full of tools to the job sites. It was on Marco Island, so it wasn't like I was riding miles and miles, but still I put in a lot of miles on that bike, stuff like this. But he used to just really push me. And as I was back working for him, and he used to call it, I was like his grunt. And the reason I say the word grunt is a grunt's like a low ranking soldier in the military, for those of you that don't know. And he used to basically, all that, doing all these odds and ends back to this, is it was would mentally, it prepared me for today, and having to ride a bike to work and having to ride a bus to work, and working all the time while my friends were all partying or having fun or doing all these fun things. And then there was me always on a job site working, learning the trade that I'm in today and doing the things that I had to do. So at one point too, to continue my story, I actually said I'm done with. I had 2 college degrees. I had a degree in business, and a minor in marketing. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to use this. I'm good at sales. So I started searching for sales jobs, and I, obviously having a sports background, I wanted to be in sports. So I was looking at sales jobs in sports and what other sales job is there besides high-end ticket sales. So that's what I started researching, started getting interviews. Long story short, I got a job with a team. The team that I got a job with was the Miami Marlins, and my dad sat me down before going and moving to Miami again. He basically said, listen, and if you guys know the Miami Marlins, they don't sell many tickets. The stadium's usually pretty empty unless they play like the New York Yankees, the Cubs, or something like that. They have more of the opposite team fans than their actual own fans. So that's, would have not have been the best sales job for me. But anyway, so he sat me down. He goes, hey, what are you thinking? He goes, homes. You've worked for me your whole life. You know the insides and outsides of houses. You know everything there is to do with houses. Why don't you get your real estate license? So that's right there when I said, yeah, that's not a bad idea. He goes, you can make a lot of money in real estate, and you can have a lot of success. You're good at sales. You had success selling cars. Why don't you try it? Go get it. So and I'll be honest, after a couple times, because I didn't take the test seriously, but after I finally started taking it seriously, I passed my real estate exam, got my license, and I started doing real estate, trying to figure it out. So I sat in a house. It was a small house. That was my first house. And you know, it, if you guys know my car sales background, literally, if I'm in anything, I learn everything there is about the product that I'm going to sell. Every single little thing. If I list your house, I'm going to study and write down every single little thing. The guy that works under me, that's what I taught him to do. Make a list of everything that's a highlight in that house. And that's what I did for this first house. It was a smaller house. There wasn't many highlights, but I listed out stuff that other realtors wouldn't even know or ever think about, saying as a listing. And I sat in it every time too. It was empty, and I did open houses 7 days a week. I was even, Saturday, Sundays, I was in there because that's how I was. I didn't have any money. I needed a car. I needed to sell something. I needed to start getting my life together and get ahead. So I ended up selling that house and fairly quick, and I made some money on it, and it wasn't anything crazy, but that right there was the moment, and the defining moment, one of those in my life where I'm like, wow, I can make some serious money doing this. So then I really started, because I have a marketing background, I've always been good at promoting myself. I really started researching how I can promote myself better as a realtor, but also in construction sales too. So the better I got at it, then my dad put me in one of his model homes. He's like, I'm going to make you our salesperson, because the one he had before went a different direction. So he goes, I'm going to make you our salesperson. So I started selling his models, his homes. My first year doing it, I sold more homes than anybody that's ever worked for him as a salesperson. My second year sold even more, third, fourth, fifth. I've been doing it for, I think, being officially his salesperson. I think I'm on my ninth year as it. But I've sold more homes than probably anybody in the area, and that's not me bragging. That is the truth. I've done over 50 million in construction sales alone. That's 50 million just in construction, new construction, and I've also done 50 million and over 50 million in real estate sales separately from construction. So over 100 million in total sales already too. You know, but all the stuff I just told you guys is what got me to where I did that, where I was able to sell that much. If I didn't go through the sweat and missing out on stuff and having to do the stuff that I did, and the sacrifices I made, and I hated a lot of it. I hated it with a passion, but if I didn't do it, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't. There's no way I would be to where I am today. And I'm so thankful for the stuff that my dad put me through, and the work and the sweat and being out on job sites in the hot sun and, just constantly, working and the weekends and dealing with school and just anything I wanted, he made me work for it. I wanted that new Xbox. I had to work for it. I remember when the new Xbox, or when Xbox first came out, he's like, I'm not buying that for you. You work, you can make money and get it yourself. So I remember I was digging a hole in his backyard. I was doing so many. I remember I had to repaint his whole screen enclosure. This thing was huge too. I had scaffold I had to build and repainted and sanded that whole thing for him. I learned, but the thing is, what I'm getting at, guys, is I learned so much throughout this process, so much, that it's unbelievable. Like, and I look back at it, and yeah, a lot of the time I was angry, but now I look at it and I'm so thankful for it, and my parents always taught me about hard work and discipline. Nothing was handed to me. Like I said, it's still the same thing today where, you know, it's anything I got to do, they say, you just put in the work. And the more I've been doing, this last week, I've had a lot of success in real estate because I'm putting in the work. I actually just posted a post about how things, I'm locked in, being locked in. And I'm not talking about quarantine. I'm talking about my focus right now. I've never been at this moment in my life throughout all the stuff I've been through. And there's been a lot that I've been through in life, guys. And we'll talk about that more, but I've never been so focused. Like I feel like a lot of the stuff that I didn't do before that I actually put in the time to do is like a habit to me now, like podcasting, doing this extra stuff, but the thing is, I'm doing all this stuff. I'm still working my ass off constantly. I'm still trying to get ahead. I'm still learning. I'm still, I mean, I'm just getting started. I mean, I've done, there's a lot more to come. I'm only 33 years old and I know there's so much more to come. I got so much more life to live and I still want to keep learning. And I'm very hard on myself. People will tell you that know me. I'm very hard on myself because I don't give myself enough credit, which could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. But, people still to this day tell me it must be nice. But what they don't understand is to do all the things that I do on a daily basis, there's no way people will be able to do it. There's no way they would be able to put up with it. To deal with real estate and construction. So here's one of my normal days. So I get to the office, I have to deal with a lot of questions from one of our girls in the office about customers and deal with the customer relationship stuff. I deal with all that kind of stuff. Then me and my brother will go over, there's stuff on jobs. My brother will have questions with, I'll go to job sites. We got a closing coming up. I'm dealing with that closing as far as, a house we build as a custom home. I've got 3 real estate deals I'm working all at once. I don't have somebody, I have a guy that works under me. He helps me out with a lot. We have a model home that I have opened up now. now that Florida's kind of getting back to normal and so on. So, I sit that too, or I have him, then I got to deal with that, or customers going in and out of that. I do home watch, I do podcasting, I do all my social media stuff. I still read every single day. I want to do my personal development stuff. I'm part of networking groups. I have phone calls with people, customers, other people. I had a phone call the other day, about a guy that started with a great guy starting a podcast, and I'm going to be on his. So I'm doing podcast interviews. I'm doing other interviews. I'm doing all this stuff that a normal person, and most people, I shouldn't even say normal person, but most people they'll go crazy if they were trying to do it all. But I'm doing it. But it must be nice, right? I'm lucky, right? Is that true? So that I'm still lucky to get to where I am, but I'm doing all this stuff. I'm advertising all the time. I'm trying to figure out ways that I can get in front of people. I'm trying to figure out new ways I can help people. There's so much things that I'm doing. I'm constantly writing things down. I'm constantly trying to figure out my next move. I'm constantly trying to just get ahead and do what I got to do to accomplish goals, to be better at what I do, and to be the best real estate broker and builder around here. I have a long-term vision that I want to have our building company all throughout the state of Florida. I also want to have a big sales outfit, sales where we're one-stop shop. Reiman Properties, RK Reiman Construction, Reiman Home Watch, Reiman Rentals, Reiman. I want to be that, and I'm gonna be that. But it takes a lot of hard work to get there. And you're telling me that I'm lucky? You're going to tell me that I must be nice? And that's and that was the question. And I go back to Andy Frisella. What he said is, why do I have to defend my hard work to you? People don't understand the work that you put into things. They'll never understand unless they actually live your life and do it. But people aren't obviously going to be able to do that. And that's the thing is people, I'm gonna get it the rest of my life. I mean, one day I'm a big believer in law of attraction. I want to have a house on the water, on the beach. I want to have the nice cars and so on. And it's just, I'm a car person. I love a Lamborghini. I want that. And when I do have that, when I do have my big house, and when I do have these things, people are gonna still say it must be nice to me. And I'm not a flashy person. I drive a truck right now. I'm not that type. I've had a picture of Lamborghini on my wall since I was a little kid. And it's just been a goal of mine to actually have one. And I will. And having a nice house for my family and support my family and so on in the future, that's one thing I'm definitely going to do. I'm driven to do that too. But people are always going to tell me it must be nice. So, if people say you're lucky, that's what I'm getting at with this whole thing. If people keep telling me I'm lucky, maybe I am lucky. Lucky enough to know what it takes to get ahead. Lucky enough to have parents that always pushed me to get ahead and make me work for what I want, and tell me I needed to come home instead of going to a party and drinking, and or going to the beach with friends. And maybe them doing that stopped me from being a bad or a worse off person. Maybe them doing that and making me put in the work instead of going to that party or going out with friends and doing the fun stuff and having to work. Maybe that is why I'm lucky. And that's the thing. I mean, people saying that you're lucky are usually the ones doing nothing to be lucky. Think about that. What are they doing? The ones that usually say must be nice. Well, what are they doing where you can say it back to them? Are they putting in the work? Are they putting in the effort? Are they reading books? Are they taking online courses? Are they doing podcasts? Are they posting on their social media? I had a friend say something to me the other day, and it was about my podcast, and I didn't get mad at him about it. What I got mad at was he was making fun of me because he's like, yeah, you got your podcast, and then blah blah blah, and then I posted a picture of me throwing dirt in the air. He didn't read the caption. Of course, he didn't read the caption. And the caption said, I sold a lot it was a $800,000 lot. And that was me celebrating, throwing the dirt in the air. And that client found me because of my social media posts, my podcast, all that kind of stuff. He found me online because of that. So I went back at him and I said, so you're laughing at me because I sold an $800,000 lot because I'm taking the time to help people with my podcast? That you're talking about my podcast? And he goes, well, I mean, you do your podcast, this and that. I go, well, what are you doing? What are you doing to better yourself? What are you doing to get ahead? Tell me. Did you sell that $800,000 lot because you were making the effort to get ahead, or did you sell that lot because you were posting on social media like I did, and I later just sold another lot because of social media and so on? What are you doing to better yourself? I go, it's people like you that are the problem. It's people like you that make fun of and criticize people trying to put in the work. You're the ones that are the problem. And maybe you should think about putting in some work and getting ahead and bettering yourself. And he looked at me, he's like, I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to say that, this and that. I go, you don't have to be sorry to me. I'm just defending all the people that are putting in hard work and trying to get ahead. And it makes me crazy when people like yourself say stuff like you do, not just to me, but that rubs off on everybody else that I know and everybody else that's trying to live a positive life, trying to help people, like I am with this podcast, trying to make a difference and just, that actually work hard, grind every single day to try and make customer experience better, but also try and get ahead. And he felt super bad, and I didn't want to make him feel bad, but it's just something that I'm so passionate about. So in the end, guys, maybe I am lucky, and this was more of a rant. It's episode 50, but it's something that comes from my heart because, I've had this my whole entire life. I've had people criticize me because my dad was successful. I've had people just always saying stuff, and I've come back at them because I was so aggravated and because they don't understand the work that I've had to put in. They don't understand what has gone into getting me to over 50 million in construction sales or over 50 million in real estate sales. They do not understand because they will never do it. It's something that I've been, passionate about talking about. I made a post about it. I think it was like a year ago, and it got a ton of traction. And there was people that I know, even people I played football with, that commented. They go, people don't, and one comment, and I remember this comment, they go, people don't really don't know how hard you worked. I remember you leaving practice after a long day of practice, you went straight to work. And I actually saw somebody out and they said the same thing. They're like, I just remember you always having to go to work after practice. I'm like, yeah. So when people say you're lucky, tell them you are. That's the way to look at it. Say I'm lucky enough to have the parents that I had that raised me to work my ass off. I'm lucky enough to had to put in the work that I did to learn from it. And now, guys, today I look back at it and I'm so thankful for that. I'm so thankful for all the things that I'm doing, and I'm running a home watch company. I'm got a real estate business. I have the building business. I do interviews. I'm being interviewed. I have social media. I have network events, personal development, and there's just so much more to come. And I thank each and every one of you guys. Hopefully this helps you too. And I know I kind of rambled on, but it was something that I'm so passionate about. I hope this helps you to push forward and to keep doing what you're doing and helping people and getting ahead. This episode, because it's episode 50, I wanted it to be special. And I wanted to talk about something I'm truly passionate about. And have you guys hear the story of how I got into real, and that is the truth of how I got into real estate. And the reason I wanted to be in real estate, obviously my why, is because I do every realtor says because I want to help people. But my true why is I want to not only help people, I want to help people know what to look for in a house. With my construction background, I can see things that your typical realtor doesn't because I know how homes are built from the ground up. If you're looking for a lot, I know what goes into construction. So I know how to find the perfect lot prior to construction. And I want to help people in a way using honesty, because most agents are just going to agree with you if you pick a property that you like. See, I'm going to tell you what's wrong about it, but I'm going to tell you what's great about it too. What's behind the walls, what they built this out of, how the cabinets are, how the sinks are, the faucets, the trim, every single, the pool, I can look at all these things, and that's what I want to do. And that's why I'm doing this show, is to help people. So if people continue to tell me I'm lucky, thank you. Because I am lucky. I'm blessed. I'm grateful. I'm grateful every single day for the hard work I've had to endure. I'm grateful every single day for where I live, for what I do for work, for the people in my life. I'm grateful for you guys. I'm grateful for the show. I'm grateful for everything that's going on. I'm right now, it's I like I said, I feel locked in. I feel like, I there's so much more to come still too, but I keep growing mentally. I keep getting better. I keep just pushing forward more and more, and business keeps continuing to grow, and I'm so thankful for that, guys. And that's why I'm here. I want to help you guys, so feel free to reach out to me. I hope you enjoyed this episode. This is episode 50. Can't believe we're already 50 episodes in. Got some great guests coming up, 51 and beyond. And episode 100, I'll do something passionate like this, and I'm sure it'll be a different story at that time a year from now. But everybody stay safe out there. I appreciate all you guys. I appreciate the time. I appreciate you listening. And I'm grateful for all you guys. So thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. Let's all be lucky, right? Let's all be lucky, and keep working hard, and keep your eyes forward. Don't look back, and there's big things to come here, guys. You guys can do it with me. So I'll see you guys on the next episode.